Midnight, me, and Bob Macabre. A nighty-night tale of torture and torment. And here's how it goes. These be the tales of a lad we'll call Vex, who was chilled to his bones by a horrible hex. His problem was rare but far from unique. Night after night the boy never slept. It's clearly agreed that the ripe age of 9 is surely quite early for losing one's mind, but nevertheless, he was coming unglued, and nothing and no one could lighten his mood. His nightly encounters with things so horrific had taken a bone-twitching toll most prolific, to the point where his days were filling with dread. That nighty night was coming. It's almost time for bed. Inside his head raged a whirlwind so wild, these monstrous creations of an above-average child. They were running amok so out of control, he'd seen eyes staring back from his cereal bowl. Maybe his view was a little bit bent, but that's all that he knew, and so on the day went. "Get up and get dressed," screeched the loud wrath of Mom in a voice with more turbulence than a nuclear bomb. "You had better have finished that homework last night and clean up that mess. It's a hideous sight. And I don't have time, so you must get it done. Get your sister to help you, because I've got to run." Sitting up in bed, Vex's eyes scanned the room with a familiar sense of impending doom. Well, it's not quite as spooky as the night before, but who knows what lurks beyond my bedroom door. Just then, down the hall, came a sound so disturbing, so cold, so strong, so maniacally unnerving. Its power so great that as it grew closer, the corridor becoming ever so much moroser. The wooden floor creaked and the walls became twisted. Vex pulled up his covers as his panic persisted. The window panes rattled and he shook to his core, and just as his heart couldn't take any more, the door blasted open with a menacing velocity, and in stormed the demon of tra-la-la-locity. A 3.5-foot tall bundle so cute, so sweet, she could make even Santa Claus puke. Greeted each morning by this his little sister Twink, she'd skip round him in circles and give him a wink, with her hair tied in braids that she'd weaved herself of colored yarn and ribbons like a demented elf. With her, as always, clamped tight in her talons, was an evil-eyed rag doll that looked slightly unbalanced. It was dressed just like Twink. What a devilish pair, with their frightful 3-eyed hyperactive hypno-stare. He pushed her aside with his hand on her head, crawled on all fours to the edge of the bed, got dressed in his clothes that hung on the chair. Thus began yet another day fueled with despair. Escorted by pointy-headed shadows with claws, harassed and tormented with their jeers and guffaws, he skulked through the schoolyard, paranoid and deluded, as malign classroom chit-chat left him quite ill-reputed.
"There goes Weird Kid. Hey, freak, what's your deal?"
The girls that sat near him would point and they'd squeal. Still at his desk, trying hard to stay focused, never knowing what is real from what's hocus pocus. His face was tensed up in a zombified trance, while the words on the chalkboard undulated and danced, spinning and twisting, and what happened next? His bone-wearied head crashed down on his desk. When forehead met masonite, it resounded with a thwack. Foul wind chilled the air as the creature teacher looked back. Throbbing with rage, she launched an attack of grotesque squid-like arms reaching out with a crack. In one slimy grope, by his hood he was snatched and hung in the air like the morning's fresh catch. The beast looked him over in total disgust till her internal rage cooker finally went bust. "You unruly, delinquent, rebellious disruptor, you irritating, troublemaking, pestering corruptor, mischievous, rascalous, incorrigible punk shrew, your vexatious reign in my classroom is through." Her drooling, fanged mouth then uttered this phrase: "Such undisciplined conduct never passed in my days. I'd have had your little back porch paddled red, but the school board prefers psychotherapy instead. So take this pass and get out of my sight to the school's tyke psychologist. Perhaps he'll get you right." And on her command, he sighed and then slouched, dragged himself through the halls, and parked on a couch. Fretfully outposted by a grim wooden door, anticipating the tortures that he had in store. In his head, passing seconds slowly increased the thrill. Then clunk, the gate opened as if by its own will. The lad crossed the threshold and he felt a bit queasy. He could sense a dark presence that left him uneasy. The colorful room was all comfy and bright, though something about it just did not seem right. Awards and certificates covered the walls, a discomforting statue of a clown juggling balls, framed pictures of ink blots, and a chest full of puzzles, and a most disturbing oil painting of two attack dogs in muzzles. Educational toys designed to look fun, and a sofa shaped just like a hamburger bun. Behind a huge polished desk sat a plump bearded sack, staring down through thick spectacles with his chair tilted back.
Welcome, my dear boy. Won't you come in? My name is Dr. Glumberger. Now shall we begin? Come, have a seat, little friend, and we'll chat.
He reached out to give Vex a premature pat. His repellent old hand had a mothballish odor. Vex backed onto the sofa and slid all the way over. The doctor stood up and cleared his throat with a cough. As Vex started to speak, the big chub cut him off.
I've had a long talk with your mother and teacher, some esteemed colleagues, your principal and preacher. It's been decided that you're quite in need of my care. All this oddballish behavior has stirred quite a stare. I've spent many a year researching such cases. Why, in fact, I've led seminars in many fine places. I've been given awards of the most distinguished kinds for my scientific method for repairing child minds. Pharmaceutical companies hold me in the highest regard.
He cleared off his glasses as he spun this canard.
By my sole diagnosis, in one flick of my wrist, I'll stroke out some prescriptions. Now let's make a list. These blue pills will surely help keep you awake. Your grades will improve, but your wee hands will shake. We'll throw in some yellow ones to even your mood, but be sure that you take these with plenty of food. The red ones will slow down your brain while you're snoozing. Be sure and call me if your eyeballs start oozing. If you begin feeling sad, take this green one with stripes, developed by a company known for unclogging pipes. In this box I have samples in the experimental stage, though they may cause some leakage and wild fits of rage. Let's see. Is there something I'm forgetting? Ah yes, here's some white ones in case of bedwetting. You see, little man, it's not you that's to blame. Any modern practitioner of psychiatry will claim perhaps God was too busy on the day you were born to personally see to it that your mind was well formed. And that is where I come in to take up his slack. See to it that all missing parts are put back. But unlike the piper that led babes to their fate, less than half of my patients become wards of the state.
With all of his might, the boy again tried to speak, but his wide gaping mouth barely uttered a squeak. Frozen in shock, he thought,
They think I'm crazy. Is this it? Am I doomed? Can nobody save me?
How about an experiment to put your mind to the test?
said the doc.
Through hypnosis, I've had great success. Just close your eyes and count backwards from 10. When I snap my fingers, you'll awaken again. While you're cozily sleeping, I'll be exploring your noodle. The good thoughts, the bad thoughts, the whole kit and caboodle. I shall unleash these spookies that plague you at night. You'll awaken refreshed, free of worry and fright.
Though the outlook seemed grim, Vex pulled up his hood.
Can't I just go if I promise to be good?
The doc shook his head and ignored the request. Then he pulled an old pocket watch out of his vest. Then he spoke in a tone that was ever so soothing. As the watch started swinging, Vex's eyes started moving, lower and lower, to one side then back. His weighted lids closed, and all things went black. A few moments passed, and from inside that room came an unearthly, petrifying kaboom of gloom. A phantasmagorical spook circus galore could be heard blaring out through the cracks in the door. Rattlings and thunderings and fierce growls and screeches would have caused the most undaunted to soil his breeches. An untamable creep show therein was ensuing, a ringside seat for the doc's private viewing. Safely unaware, with his peepers shut tight, protected from the raving unfathomable fright, sat the boy with no knowledge of the riotous scrap, until suddenly awakened by a resounding snap. Roused by the jolt, would you believe what he found? Doc Glumberger curled up in a ball on the ground, shriveled and sniveling, chubby thumb in his gob, from pompous old windbag to a knee-knocking slob.